Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever in the world you're joining in from. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Community Voices. And today we have an amazing roundtable panel of all members who are organizing our SDGC conference, and it's from 24 and 25. So you get to hear so many different perspectives. And we also have some members who've been with SDN and with SDGC from so many different years. So we have really rich insights and stories coming to us. And I'm Sudeshna Mehta, your favorite SDN ambassador and host. And I'm super excited to begin this conversation. So let's get everyone on stage. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is super exciting to have you with us for this conversation, and I can't wait to hear all your SDGC stories. I know I've met you all in different capacities as an ambassador and also as as an SDGC member. So I'm excited to hear all about your stories. All right. So who can help us get started? Lisa, do you want to go first?
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Eliisa Sarkkinen and I'm the head of SDN Finland. I'm really happy to meet also SDN peers who are here joining and also the community people listening this. Um, so should I present myself? I'm working myself as a lead service designer at Sealy Solutions, business design, service design, strategic design, and SDN Finland is something that is close to my heart, and we've been um, organizing several events, and one of the biggest ones was last October. It was the Service Design Global Conference, which was in October here in Helsinki, and it was really great to organize that, and I still have that energy vibe from that time myself, so nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And next, Juliana, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I am Juliana in Spanish. Juliana, to make sure it's written spelled with a J. So I am also part of the SDN Finland chapter, and I've been helping there for over 3 years. And I took part last year in organizing the conference as the attendee experience team lead. And this year, again, helping in multiple roles. And yeah, looking forward to the conference. Nice to meet you all. And thank you so much for the invitation.
Right. Brandon, can I ask you to get started? And just throw the ball to the next person.
Sure. Hi, I'm Brandon Ward from Dallas. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Precocity. There in Dallas, we're a digital agency, and we do everything from designing websites and apps to experiences and service design. So I run the research and service design practice there. We've done some things for some big people. Recently for Dave & Buster's, if you're familiar with that brand, did a lot of service design for their servers, actually. They were concerned about their servers and their experience, not just the customers, but their employees. And we spent a great deal of time at Dave & Buster's, right? Which is a really fun project to work on. Currently working with NASDAQ on various initiatives. So we have we're a small team, work on really big things. Currently, I did attend SDGC last year in Helsinki, and it was a fantastic experience. With SDGC 25 here in Dallas this October, I'm the experience team lead, working with lots and lots of people. It's amazing how many people you need to pull this off, and really excited about the opportunities that are there, and trying to introduce people to the United States, to Texas, and to Dallas in particular, and ensuring that the SDGC 25 is a really stellar experience. Agusta.
Hi, I'm Agusta Callaway. I've been helping out on, I didn't help out too much with Helsinki, but since 2021, I've been helping SDGC on the experience side of things, particularly in the virtual setting. I'm from the US. I'm calling in from the back porch of my family home in Northwest Georgia near Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I'm really excited that the conference is coming to the States, and particularly the southern region of the States. And I'll pass it over to Robin.
Thank you, Agusta. I'm Robin Roberts, and I am the Director of Service Design at Baylor Scott & White. Baylor Scott & White is the largest nonprofit healthcare organization in Texas. And I've been building the service design practice internally at Baylor Scott & White for the last almost 2 years. Just got started on that project. And it's been an incredible journey to get that set up. I've also been a co-founder of the Dallas chapter of SDN since we started, along with Brandon. We became a chapter in 2019, just before COVID kicked off. So yeah, been getting kind of wound up in the chapter side of things. And then when we got the bid to host the conference this year, it was a big, exciting moment for us to bring some eyes onto what's going on here in Texas from a design perspective and a human-centered perspective. I also lead the content selection process for the conference this October, and I'm also working on a few other side things, part of the coordination of where we have our workshops and side events and things like that. And I'll pass it to Amanda.
Thanks, Robin. I'm Amanda Spence. I work at Slalom here in the US. I think I'm the only native Texan on this call, so hey. If I say y'all, that's the reason. I won't say howdy. That's just not in my vernacular. Yes, Slalom is a large global business and tech consultant and consultancy, and I work as a service designer there, and I'm also a co-lead of our Service Design Center of Excellence. And I did go to Helsinki last year. It was my first experience with the SDGC. And was really excited to get involved. So when I heard that Dallas won the bid, I was excited to get involved. I don't live in Dallas. I live about 5 hours away, but Texas is large, so that is I don't know, it takes 15 hours to drive from coast to coast on the Texas border. So yeah, it's nice to meet all of you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing about where you come from, the different conference you were involved in, and your specific role for it. I am so curious about so many different things, and I have so many questions. So let's talk about the first one. How do you even decide to go from like Nordic cool snow place like Helsinki to then bring it to exactly like Texas heat near the equator? Like, how did you even manage to do that? And then just thinking about, I know each city like leaves a flavor of itself in SDGC. So, what did Helsinki leave with SDGC, and what is Dallas trying to like create in its experience? So, I'm gonna throw that question to Eliisa first.
I think how Helsinki in Finland, how we shaped it, I think it was such a big team approach because we were over 20 people working pro bono after work hours, probably over 500 Teams hours per person. But it was the motivation and the energy and the spirit that we have together. I think that's what kind of built the whole experience. Like, for example, what Juliana, sorry, in the conference, it was so amazing to see it being built day by day into this really incredible experience that we had. And I think it speaks also that there were from 55 different countries people coming to the event. And it was amazing. I felt that the people made it, And I think the flavor, the Nordic flavor that we also had in the visuals and throughout the whole experience, I think that was also very well planned. So I give credit to the whole team in this flavor thing. Yeah. Maybe Juliana, you can also tell what was your experience from it.
I would just add that also Helsinki is small, and most of us already knew each other pretty well because it's such a small community here. So I think at some point Ellie was saying that it felt like planning a wedding, and it kind of did because we all knew each other. And so, we skipped the part of introductions and all that. We just kind of rolled up our sleeves and let's get working. And that was very nice. And we of course became closer with the experience. So that in itself, and I think also for the attendees, the fact that the city is small and accessible, and so we were all very eager to show around the good places, the places where they could see design in Helsinki. We wanted to give a lot to the attendees to get the most of the city in the short amount of time they had here. So that's kind of the background of how we built this experience last year. But I'm curious to hear also from the folks in Dallas.
How did you experience it? Like for people who were there in Helsinki, how did you experience it? And how is that translating into the Dallas experience?
I'll jump in on that one.
Is the question for me?
Oh. So, we... Oh, yeah. Or sure, go ahead.
Well, Brendan, you started. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on anyone. When we went to Helsinki in October, we knew that Dallas had been picked. And so we didn't just attend the conference as conference attendees. We observed every jot and tittle, every minutia, every little thing that was going on in the conference, everything that worked really well. We were jotting down, oh my gosh, that was a really cool experience. We need to make note of that. If something wasn't great, we made okay, that's a caveat for us. We need to make sure that, we don't do that. And every experience in the city, in the country, and then at the venue and transportation, everything, we were just hyper aware of everything that was going on, knowing that, for instance, here's an example. Dallas doesn't have public transportation that like Europe does, right? And so every time we jumped on a train or a bus or something, and we're like, okay, how is this going to translate to Dallas? How are people going to move around and do different things? And so it was such a fantastic experience. And the Helsinki team did such an amazing job. We were leaving going, okay, how do we match that? How do we meet that kind of top tier experience and ensure that people who may be experiencing the United States for the first time, that was my first time in Finland. How do we make sure these first time visitors are welcome, are safe, are happy, are engaged, and they get to experience more than just the conference? I came a couple days early so I could experience a little bit of Finland. And I'm really excited for people to do the same. And we want them to experience all the flavors of Texas, both in terms of palate and the things that you put in your body, as well as just kind of the things all around. It's definitely an otherworld experience.
I think adding to that, Brandon, I observed too, you'd mentioned us moving around the city and knowing as well how involved the city of Helsinki was with the conference, being a design city, their presence was clear all around, and things are a little different, here in Dallas. We're a very large commerce, business oriented space, and it's not as walkable as you would say, like a small European city is. And so those were kind of those translations Brandon was talking about, how do we actually address that, not fabricate it, but actually embrace what is natural and what is normal for the city. So that influenced the selection of our venue and making sure that we had proximity to transportation, resources, restaurants, hotels, mini hotels, all the things that we would want kind of contained together, so that transporting around the city wasn't necessarily a thing unless you just want to go out and see things or experience. The other side of that too is recognizing our theme. I'm going to jump on that question that popped up in the chat around the theme this year being business transformation. That is very much North America, Dallas, Texas. Like, it is top of mind for design in the industry, regardless of what specific industry. So that's kind of that synergy between bringing it to Dallas, and that really is the story and the message that we want to share, is how design is working in businesses, not just in public sector, but in places where design is new, right? Design strategy or design thinking or service design, or even having design as a pre-thought instead of an afterthought. That's an emerging thing here.
And to jump on that, one of the things that we observed when we asked a lot of people while we were in Helsinki, what did you love about your experience the most here? And one of the things that the feedback they gave us, the things they loved most were the really concrete talks and the presentations that talked about real world experiences and where the rubber meets the road kind of stuff. Those were their favorites. And they were some of our favorites too. And so we wanted to make the Dallas experience more of that. And so like a lot of the themes were really high level in Helsinki, where they were talking about changing the world, right? Changing human nature. And I love the aspiration, because we as designers are in critical positions to do just that. And then we wanted to take that concept and bring it back the other way, because for instance, in Dallas, we are in business and we are designing things for people, and we have that seat at the table. And when we're asked things, where they may be, will not do this, I will do that. And this, let's elevate that bar. Let's elevate our thinking, take that high level concept from Helsinki and actually implement it in business and in government and stuff wherever you are in the world.
That is incredible. Thank you so much, Brandon and Robin. That reminds me, Juliana, you did a little bit of research on like what people were saying about the Helsinki conference, and you have some insight into it. So tell us a little bit about the last year's theme, and then a little bit of what people have been saying. What were some of your favorite takeaways, or what's our community telling us?
Yes, so what you are referring to, I did a few interviews and I spoke to past year attendees, and to try to understand what are the things that they value most of the conference, or what they're looking forward to. And overall, like if we want to find a concrete thing, it goes to networking. So every time, the most important thing that they take with them is the network that they build. And to me, what was surprising was that these networks live on, like after the conference, even like, inviting people to other events across countries. Also, new projects. People come up with new projects with people that they meet at the conference. Like, I was just surprised of how, these networks expand and they continue to live on after the conference. And this is what people mostly talked about. Like, of course, the learnings of the talks, the workshops, also how the workshops bring so much they can apply what they hear at the talks, and more concretely with the workshops, they take that with them. But yeah, the network, for sure.
That is so true. And I think networking in different contexts really gives us, even just knowing, hey, networking in Finnish Helsinki would be very different than it would be in Dallas. Eliisa, I know you were I think you had a point to make, so please add.
Yeah, I was just going to add about the theme that we had last year was designing for impact, strategic leadership with service design. And I think there's a nice bridge with the theme, what we're going to have in Dallas. I'm really eager to see and hear that. And then I think what we're really now as designers looking forward to is really seeing how the world is changing because of different kind of aspects related to AI, as well as to different kind of dynamics in the world currently. And I think that's kind of, we really need concrete ways to prove about also the added value of service design so that the word is spread. And I think that for me personally, the biggest wow thing in all this kind of what happened in Helsinki was really those small moments when we realized that we're getting all these different kind of parties along supporting the idea of building the conference. Like we had Ornamo, which is a large design, this kind of like a union in Finland, and they were with us partnering in this, and we got the city of Helsinki as well, and all this. It makes a big value and a big impact when you get these kind of organizations. And we had the opening event at the what is it? This kind of a ballroom at the city of Helsinki. So there was the mayor as well. So those are these kind of huge support elements that as us designers can get. And I think it was really nice to see that happening in Helsinki. And I'm also happy to see these kind of different things happening at Dallas, that what you've been building. I've been following what's being organized there. So yeah, I just wanted to add that I think it's a team effort, a network effort, like Juliana mentioned.
Yeah, and it is so much broader than just us. I think there's also like our partners who are there, our volunteers who are there. It's a huge team that is constantly working towards making this huge conference happen. So you can really see the culmination of all of that coming together during those couple of days, but it's like an entire year worth of work that's happening from the beginning. I know, Amanda, you were sharing a little bit about also the Texan culture and how that has started to influence, and y'all are essentially trying to create the experience, taking that into mind. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, Eliisa. So Helsinki was fantastic. I loved it. It was the first time I'd been to Finland. It was the service designer's kind of dream and landscape for how a community can come together and build something meaningful. I loved every minute of it, and I think we as Americans and Texans and those of us practicing service design in this part of the world have a lot to learn. But one of the things that I did want to touch on in what we're trying to bring to Dallas in particular is the feeling of inclusion, and we're working really hard to make sure that everyone who attends, especially people who are traveling to the US for the first time, to Texas for the first time, we want to make sure that everybody feels welcome and included, and that's a huge priority for us. I know that Texas gets a bad rap because of what people hear in the media. I'm not gonna lie, I hear it all the time. As a Texan, I've defended it a lot. You know, people live here. It's not just about what you hear in the media. And it's not without its challenges. So I don't want to gloss over that. I'm happy to talk about it. But what people don't tend to understand until they visit Texas, and I've had this conversation one-on-one with people, is how diverse and how community oriented Texans are. And Texans have a huge and rich history of neighbors helping neighbors. And in that same mentality, at least here on the ground for the Dallas planning team, we're extending that into how we're planning this conference. So it's a huge priority. I'm happy to have, like I said, happy to have that conversation with anyone if we want to dig a little deeper into that. But so that's it on a human level. definitely we have a lot of richness and goodness to bring to our planning of this. And then on a fun level, our food it really kicks ass. Like because of the diversity of people who live here, the food is amazing. You can find whatever you need or whatever you're looking for that you've never experienced before. So I wanted to touch on that.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I know you started talking about inclusion and we were like, we're only talking about Helsinki and Dallas, but honestly, the conference is hybrid. And I know Augusta has a lot to share about that. So tell us more, Augusta.
Sure. First, I will add, I did live in Texas for a while, and it was one of the most welcoming states I've ever lived in. I've lived in like 11 different cities in the US, and in Texas, I really felt welcome. So there's that. As far as networking and virtual opportunities go, when y'all were talking earlier about like Juliana was saying, like people really like the networking events, like I find that I encounter so many people online that I've interacted with through SDN, and I have this giant community of people all over the world. And it's funny, people will talk about, oh, I'm going here and there, and they're like, oh yeah, I know someone there. I know people in Finland. I know people in Denmark. I know people in Berlin. And I'm like, well, I have, and they're like, how do you know all these people? I just, I know them virtually. There's lots of opportunities to network virtually through the Ring Central platform, both for in-person and virtual attendees. So I encourage you to definitely look into the platform, click the buttons, even regardless if you're attending in person or virtually, and you can meet people. You just have to do it. You have to step up and be willing to take the first move sometimes, or be willing to accept the attention from others and realize it's a safe space, and you can create community online like we're doing right now. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is so true. In fact, in some of the cities that I've been in, I remember in New York, we would just all come together and we'd watch the conference together, and then we'll actually debrief after that. So I know that has started in a lot of places where you're in person gathering, but in your own cities, if you're not able to make it to the conference in specific areas. So awesome. Thank you so much. I do have we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to ask you maybe last question is, how do you, when you're designing this experience, especially for service designers, who notice everything, every part of the experience, how do you balance kind of creating those wow moments and then finally creating something more human-centered and more experiential? Because these people notice every single touch point that you have. I see Robin smiling. Can I?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be the first to say, and I'll pass it to someone else. We actually turn the tools that we use every day internally. I mean, we were Brandon and Greg, who's not on the call, another one of the co-founders of the chapter, and we've toured the location multiple times. We shot videos, actually like point of view as you're moving through the venue and talking to what could be where, like doing basically business origami activities to play it out, laying out the floor plan, really imagining the experience. Some of the things that we learned from Helsinki around logistics of break times and getting to bathrooms between talks, or moving to a talk that had a limited capacity versus a larger capacity. Those kinds of insights influenced a lot of the decisions, and Brandon can talk about it even more as part of the experience team. We really have taken all that into consideration of where we're placing things and thinking through, it's going to be easy for folks to move to the next event or the next thing, or they have something to do. If there's a talk that doesn't necessarily check the box for them, there's something else going on that they can engage with. So yeah, I'll pass it over to the others.
Yeah, just jumping on that, we found the furthermost point of the venue and then started a timer and walked to the other furthermost point of the venue and saw if you walk leisurely, how long does it take to get from the furthest point to the furthest point, right? And then, okay, how does that play in with how things are going, where things are, where we put food? We went in the bathrooms, we counted stalls in the bathrooms, right? And to understand how many urinals are there, how many stalls are there, right? And how many people can go here or there. How do we create, to Amanda's point, that inclusive experience? Can we convert one of these bathrooms into a gender neutral bathroom? And which one, and why, and where? And then where do we put the vendors, and where do we put the food? And where it just, all of it comes into play. We're standing in the venue, we're looking at blueprints, we're, you know, taking our Lego people and hopping them through. It's service design 101. We've got Miro. We have more Miro boards than you can possibly imagine. And they are full of stuff, videos and PDFs and images and logistics and just so much stuff. It's overwhelming. And then we have Google Sheets, and we're building schedules, and then we trash that schedule and we build a new one. And we're just iterating, always trying to get closer and closer to that ideal experience, all while operating under budget, right? So budget is a big constraint. And so we're trying to bring this world-class experience to the team in a location that is one of the most expensive locations in the world. How do we manage that? How do we mitigate that? Where the give and take, and how do we ensure that the experience is still a top tier world-class experience, even if we're constrained by various things? So we're using design constraints as tools, right, to help level things up rather than hinder.
That is incredible. Thank you. Eliisa, can you tell us a little bit about also, like, what is the speaker experience like? I think that's something that so many people were very curious about.
Yeah, I think that it's like a combination of everything, like how was just explained. You have to see all the small pieces, and then at some point put them together and see also the flow of, like, from the perspective of different parties there who are involved, like speakers, volunteers, and of course the attendees, the people, the online attendees. So you have to see those, kind of like a service blueprint of the whole conference plan from different, looking through different eyes. And one is the speakers, like thinking their experience, how do they get the support they need, the information they need. That was very well managed through the team. Like we had different teams for different topics to take care of. But then another part of that is the content. Like when you start having the layout of the program, then you see these different topics which have some kind of bridge together. You might want to have them together, or you might want to see that there's topics that are not overlapping. Like when I think of myself coming from an AI, this digital design, well, I'm a consult there. It's a digital design company. And I'm really eager to see the AI stuff. So kind of seeing the speakers who are interested to see and hear them at the same time when there's something else happening. So kind of planning the tracks so that they're nice for the speakers and they get the kind of audience they are for, and also that there's a good space and a flow of the program from the attendee experience. I think those two sides are really important.
Robin, do you have something to add about this year's speaker? Who
Yeah.
Without, I know you can't tell us everything, but
I can't reveal all of it. We haven't announced the latest round of confirmed speakers or our keynotes. It is coming very soon. Very excited to get that word out. But what I can tell you about is we're right in the middle of the process that Eliisa was mentioning of confirming which speakers. You know, we've had many submissions, fantastic submissions. We read through all of them. Everybody in the team has had some sort of piece in going through the speakers, and there's a remarkable process to do it too. It's not arbitrary. We have our forms that they submit with a brief about what they're going to do, a video, It's reviewed by at least 2, if not more, team members. And then we have a rubric to go through that, guiding it to our theme and some of the requirements that we have for the conference this year, including being able to be virtual as well as in person. So all of those things are taken into consideration. Now we have this list of folks and we go through them and we really pick the ones that we think are going to hit the mark on the head. And we've announced a few of those. You might notice it's a pretty broad range. We've got healthcare, we've got fintech represented, we have product development, digital product development. Of course, we have some folks that are adjacent to service design like Miro, and Smapley is going to be another sponsor this year, as they always have been for SDN. But we've got some new sponsors coming in this year, and they're going to bring some different perspective as well, which is going to be really, really cool. And I think specific to North America, I'm particularly excited about the kind of diversity. It's not all American or North American speakers. We have some folks from around the globe. But we do have a lot of business focus this time, because we were hearing that's a desire, at least in the North American area, to really understand what's going on with service design. So very excited about several of them. We've got, and also non-traditional roles too. So it's not just a whole bunch of service designers talking to service designers. We've got head of national experience and design strategy from a very large healthcare provider, a managing director of transportation from a large airline, design strategists. We have consultants. We have CX strategists. So chief design evangelist. There's a broad range. I was just scanning the list of folks that have confirmed now. But yeah, I think you're gonna have a little something for everyone in that sense.
That is incredible. I'm just so excited listening to the lineup, and I know speakers are going to keep releasing. So everyone, keep your eyes glued out for all our next speaker releases, which have already started. And I guess we're at the end of this conversation, so I'll have a last question for all of you. Is what is one wow moment for you specifically? And what is an advice that you would give someone who's attending the conference for the first time? I'm going to start off with Juliana.
You mean a wow moment from planning or from the conference?
For you, like whatever it might be. You're like, oh, I didn't expect to learn this.
Yeah, I mean, wow moments are just constant, but I would say overall, like always, is like you said, it takes a year of planning, and it's just 3-4 days that go in a blink of an eye. So to me, the wow is all the effort that we put, every single detail that we plan, and how we make it work with people that are coming from different backgrounds, different. This year, I'm super excited to work with the team in Dallas, because we are, I'm so used to working here in Europe, and even though I come from Costa Rica, and I've been to the US a lot and worked more on that side of the world, it's been a while. So I'm very excited for this year working with the team. And I think the wow moments are just those little moments when, we do what we can with the resources that we have. It's always very rushed, but we somehow manage to create, the experience at the conference. And then what was the second question? Sorry, I forgot.
If you have one advice for people
advice.
Yes.
Yeah, for the people attending. Oh, I would say, because I am working with the website, check the website, because there is a lot to do. And, just keep an eye on constantly. Program is coming. There is a lot, and you can miss on a lot of things if you are not checking. So there is a lot to do and to see. So keep an eye, be checking. Yeah.
Amanda, want to go next?
Yes. So kind of adding to what Juliana just said. So attending in Helsinki, as I mentioned, is a great experience. It was great to be at a service design conference for the first time myself, where you're with your people. The people that you have professional, connections with, whether it's that you've worked with people, you're traveling together as a team, or you're noticing that you're with the type of people who think in the same kind of way as you do, professionally or personally. My piece of advice is to be present. So one of my colleagues who went to Helsinki with us, and we were very, amped up after returning home, super excited about how we're going to put all of the things that we learned into practice. I wish that I had done what she did, which was journal every single day of that time that she spent there. I came back and I brought my notes in my notebook and tried to put my notes from the talks together and have that as reference, but she was journaling her experience outside of the conference walls as well. So I think that is something that I wish I had done. So it's kind of giving myself that advice as well, as be present and really be able to reflect on what you learn, the people that you meet, and the connections that you're making, whether it be networking virtually, as Agusta said, or in person, as Juliana was mentioning. I'm an introvert, so the in-person networking doesn't work super well for me. I was going on LinkedIn afterwards, after I'd seen a talk or seen somebody speak, or that I didn't even get to interact with in person, and I was still connecting with them on LinkedIn. I loved your talk. Hey, can we connect one-on-one after the conference? That's one of the things that I did that worked for me personally. So all of that to say is, make the most of it and do it in the way that feels comfortable to you. I know that there's a lot of, and Brandon and I talked about our different personality types. He's very extroverted. I'm not. So I hope that we're making an experience that works for everyone. And if you feel like there's something that could be improved, come find one of us. We'll be floating around, and tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, can we improve this? Hopefully we can do it in real time. If not, then we'll take it for next year's conference.
And since you mentioned Brandon, connect.
Man, yeah, thanks. Yeah, Amanda and I had a wonderful time, and it was super fun to, in the moment, chat about how we were interpreting different things in Helsinki and how because we are very, very different, but we loved everything, and we had a wonderful time, and it was that great diversity of thought and experience that I think we're trying to bring to Dallas as well. One of the things I loved most about the talks in Helsinki were, so I've been an experienced designer for 25 years. I've been doing service design for about 13, and so sometimes you feel like you're in a rut, or you feel like I've been there, I've done that, I know how to do that, and sure, I know things, right? It's sort of the opposite of imposter syndrome. Sometimes you're like, this is old hat. I always go back and forth. Half the time I'm an imposter, half the time I know more than I think I do, and someone's in between. And by attending the conference, I listened to all these talks and these amazing service designers doing incredible things that I had never thought about. I had never thought about applying service design in that way, or to that problem, or with those people, right? There are so many really, really cool ways to do it. And the tools are not prescriptive. They can function in virtually any team, any country, any problem, any business. And that's one thing I love the most, is I kept going, oh my gosh, that was a brilliant use of that tool, or I didn't know that tool, or I love the story that they just told. I need to go tell more people that story so that they can understand. Service design is relatively new in the United States, and so we find ourselves constantly evangelizing it and hitting those service design adjacent businesses and practices, and sharing these experiences with them is super critical. And we're hoping that the Dallas conference will be kind of the same, that you will hear service design stories that will blow your mind and make you want to do more or experience something new. But maybe you'll hear a project manager or a design strategist or a UX designer or somebody leveraging service design tools or working in that adjacent space. And you'll go, oh my gosh, what a cool concept. I can apply that to the work I'm doing in this way. And so that's my wow and my recommendation is to attend the conference in person if you can. You're going to get so much more out of it. But if you can't, the virtual, you're going to get almost all of the exact same content. You'll get all the stage content, just not kind of the ancillary experiences, right? And we're going to try to create some of those too, even for the virtual people. But whether you're virtual or in person, you're going to, as Amanda said, journal, take notes, because you're going to hear stuff that's going to be kind of life altering, and you're going to want to take that home in clarity and then evangelize it to your friends and team and your practice.
Thank you, Brandon. Agusta.
Yeah, I think I was wondering about the wow effects, and I agree with Juliana that there's so many. It was like a year of wow, and it was amazing amount of work because we didn't have a production company, and it's basically the team that did it together with SDN Global. And I think there's like 3 relevant wow points for me. It was the first one was when we decided that we'll apply, and I was alone sitting in my car, and there was this really funny looking bird just staring at me at the same time, and I felt like I'm here and I have just decided, without knowing if I'll get the people along from the team that will apply for the conference. And the next wow effect was when we really were inspired at the stage at Berlin, where was the previous conference, telling about the theme, what's coming up, and we were there with the team. And that was a wow moment when I realized that I have the team with me there. And it's a really important thing, especially when you're leading kind of a volunteer team where the only way to pay people is motivation. And then the third was when we had the day starting. That was amazing to see that this is really now happening. Like the 3 days was just full of this energy and like things that some things went so that they went better than we thought, and some things we had to do like backstage changes. But I think everything really went well, and we had like backup plan. So we really had thought about everything, and I realized that I can just kind of let people, I don't have to worry anymore. Just things started happening. That was a really big thing, and I want to thank also everyone who helped to build the conference. And that was something that I want to say to people who come to the conference. Maybe I underline everything that's been said here. I also want to say that when you come to the conference, it's nice to get to know the people who are there from SDN. Go and chat with, come and chat to me, Juliana, who's ever there, and the Dallas team, and kind of make these connections and learn about SDN, and also, of course, the topics and all that, the kind of learning, leverage up, see if there's something that you haven't thought about before. And I have the same feeling always after the conference, is that I'm thinking like, oh, I will remember this. So if you have some certain things you don't want to forget, put those down so you have the keywords at least somewhere where somebody asks like, how was it? Then you can have it like, it was this. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Dallas and seeing you guys as well on site there. So thanks, and maybe I'll pass it then forward. Amanda?
I think Amanda just finished, so maybe Augusta? And then we'll do Robin.
Yeah, so my wow moment is I've worked on several different conferences with different nationalities, and it's been really wow to see like diversity is a real thing, and it's like kind of like public health. You notice it when it's not there. Like being on the mostly US team, it's like, oh, wow, this feels like my work. Whereas normally my SDN it's very much like a global team and it's very different. So it's just been really interesting to work on like a mostly US team. And then for all the conference attendees, main thing I would say is all attendees use Ring Central, log in early and check out the speed networking option. Check out the one-on-one networking feature within Ring Central. You can set up meetings with other attendees. And for all of you who are just nosy, you can look and see who is there. There's a search feature. Who's registered for the conference? And then for those of you attending in person, like Amanda said, you could ask, like, let me know too if you have questions or trepidation about traveling in the US, in the South particularly. And also be sure to try the sweet tea and the fried okra. You don't leave without trying those two things.
There we have some expert recommendations. Robin.
Yeah, I'll start with a wow from Helsinki, actually, and agree with everything that was said so far from everyone. I think the wow moment for me being, my first time in Helsinki, it wasn't my first SDN conference, and I'm been kind of in the community for a little bit now, but a wow moment for me was actually at the end of the conference, and we were at the party, the big networking party that we have, to close the conference and the event, and just butterflying around, which is something that I do. I'm kind of more of an ambivert, so sometimes I don't talk, and sometimes I talk too much. And so just kind of floating around the room and just easily joining conversations, and how open and welcoming and interested and interesting, all the attendees there were, and just seeing this group of, different but like-minded folks really immersing and getting deep into their connections, their passions, the things that they took away from the conference, things that shocked them, surprised them, or they wanted to learn more. So that moment for me was very energizing, and kind of re-engaging, and bring that energy back to my team and the craft. But the advice, I'll connect it to that for this conference coming up in October. Don't hesitate to take advantage of any opportunity to network with a group, whether it's sit down, near folks that you don't know at lunchtime, or join something going on around the conference. I'm not going to give anything away, but if there's something happening, join in on it. Introduce yourself to others. If you're sitting next to somebody before a talk starts, make a connection. Who knows? You have no idea where that could lead, what kind of connection it could become. It could become somebody that you can now correspond with on a regular basis, even have some feedback loops. Could be your next job opportunity. You never know. Could be your next hire. So there's no telling what's going to happen. So take advantage of all the things that we're putting together, and networking is a very important part of the conference that we've really made sure that we're giving time to and space to in the program. So we felt like that was a huge value, to coming to these conferences, just beyond the content, beyond the theme, and that is just getting together with folks.
That is so true. Thank you so much, Robin. I'm actually going to add my wow moment too, just because it is related to the party that you're mentioning. I love that at one moment I could sing karaoke on like Demons by Imagine Dragons, and then I'm moving to the other side and having this discussion on customer segmentation models and the AI avatar that can be generated from that. So that was like a really incredible moment that was there. And there were many, of course, but this one was very special to me. And then one advice that I got from another mentor of mine was to network even during the plane. you never know who you're sitting beside. So even when you're traveling, you have that entire, I don't know where you're traveling in from, but you have that entire time to actually talk to someone and get to know about their work. So, yeah, those are a little bit of my wow moments. But thank you so much. We had such fun stories, so many insights, and so much to know about what's happening behind the conference. So, if you're attending or you're thinking about, hey, should we organize the next conference? This was the perfect place to do that. So, if you're volunteering or you're joining in person, online, just this is a great space, and SDGC really brings so much connection and so much richness to your own work and to learn about work of everyone. So thank you so much, and see you all next week on Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.